On the show today, South Africa's private sector activity remains in contraction in June. Nigeria set to sign Africa Free Trade Agreement, plus Zimbabwe's moves to end dollarization challenge in court. Many thanks for joining us. Welcome to Business Incorporated on Channels Television. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwawu. Let's begin the show with the markets, and all the major markets we track in Africa were on the positive side at intraday, except the market here in Nigeria, where the all-share index was 0.07% down at about midday. In South Africa, the JSE index was up 0.11%, while the EGX 30 was 0.20% in the green, also at intraday. Kenya closed Tuesday's session up 0.08%. And in the Middle East, the numbers were mixed at intraday amid concerns about a slowdown in the world economy. The Abu Dhabi and Qatar indices were up 0.21% and 0.12% each, while the Saudi index was down 0.02% after snapping a 5-day winning streak in the previous session. Dubai's index rose 0.48%, also at intraday. And in Europe, markets traded higher in the morning after European leaders agreed on nominees to lead its main institutions for the next 5 years, following a marathon summit. Well, Conrad Busen, my colleague there at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, will dissect that for us from the exchange floor. Good afternoon, Conrad.
Hello, Chibi. It's great to be back and great to talk to you.
Sure. After a marathon summit, the leaders of the European Union have chosen Christine Lagarde as the new head of the European Central Bank. She's currently the chairperson and managing director of the International Monetary Fund. Now, what kind of monetary policy can we expect from her? What are people in Frankfurt saying about her?
Well, of course, here in Germany's financial center, there is, I would say, not a majority, but a significant minority among, financial people who would have preferred Jens Weidmann to become the new ECB chief, the successor of Mario Draghi. Jens Weidmann is currently the chief of our Bundesbank here in Germany, the National Reserve Bank, and he stands for a more conservative approach to monetary policy making. Of course, Christine Lagarde never really specifically said what she thinks about Mario Draghi's monetary policies or the current monetary policy by the ECB. It wouldn't have been adequate in her position as IMF chief, but as chief of the International Monetary Fund, she often had to defend compromises that conservative money managers and politicians found difficult to agree with. For example, in the Greek euro crisis a couple of years ago. Also, Lagarde has expressed in the past that she likes the idea of euro bonds. You know, that idea, the concept that all of the euro countries together give out government bonds and also stand in for the payments for those bonds, something conservative people don't really like. That's why the nomination of Christine Lagarde has fueled the speculation about continuously low or even lower interest rates, an even more generous monetary policy, something we've seen here in recent weeks. The government bond yields are on the way down again. The German 10-year government bond, the yield has fallen slightly below minus 0.4%. And, well, as you said, the stock market here is getting a bit of a boost.
Well, Lagarde is not the only proposal by the leaders of the national governments for European Union top jobs. 5 new positions have to be filled. Any surprises, and will their appointments go smoothly?
Well, yes, there is one super big surprise, and that's that the heads of states nominated the current German Minister for Defense, Ursula von der Leyen, to become the new chief of the EU Commission. Nobody in the political circles really had her on the screen because there had been an unwritten agreement between the EU Parliament and the heads of state that only one of the so-called lead candidates of the EU parliamentary elections, which we've seen here in May, should become the new Commission chief. Of course, the one lead candidate that manages to get a majority in Parliament. The problem is that none of those candidates really managed to get a majority in Parliament behind him. So the heads of state nominated someone else, someone they think that Parliament, when it has to confirm the candidate, will not be able to say no to. And of course, the heads of state hope that Ursula von der Leyen is such a person. This also means that, of course, her confirmation in Parliament is not a given. She will have to convince a majority of the Parliament, of the EU Parliament, to confirm her. So the suspense is on. The election, the confirmation, is on July 18th. And it is a secret vote in Parliament. So the suspense is really there.
Okay. On the other side of the Atlantic, Wall Street takes a half day off today in preparation for U.S. Independence Day tomorrow. American markets will close early and they will return on Friday to a regular schedule. How active is trading in Europe right now?
It's a bit less active. You can feel it and you can hear it when you talk to the traders. It's less active without the, lead from the United States, with the Americans getting prepared for Independence Day. Still, there are a couple also corporate stories that make the talk of the trading floors. For example, Tesla, the electric car maker, reported record sales, something that not many experts had expected from the car maker. And there's a huge merger or takeover story that people are talking about. The chipmaker Broadcom is reported to be interested in Symantec, the software firm, and this deal could be worth about $15 billion US. So there's a couple of things you can trade today, and of course people are trading them.
All right, thank you, Conrad. It's midweek already. Let's continue to keep a tab on those market developments. We have 2 more days to go for the week. Thank you for your time.